Hello everyone, and welcome to Babylon Leather's official channel. Today, we'll be crafting a designer handbag. Here is the display of the finished leather bag. First, inspect all materials. If any issues arise, contact Babylon official support. If there are no issues, please start making. Find this material. Measure the thread to be 8 times the length of the sewn part, then cut it. Each time, you can measure a bit more thread to ensure that there is more than enough available. Thread the needles. Begin threading the needle by passing the thread through the needle eye. Then, pass the needle tip through the middle of the thread. Tighten it, and that completes the threading of the needle. Thread the other needle using the same method. Take the front piece and the long strip material, aligning them according to these 2 large holes. Distinguish the front and back of the leather by looking at the holes: larger holes for the front, smaller holes for the back. Both materials are facing upward, with the long strip material positioned on top. Start sewing from the first hole on the front piece, letting the needle go from bottom to top. Then, let the needle go from bottom to top through the corresponding hole in the long strip material. Let the second needle pass successively through the second hole of both materials. Pull both threads to ensure they remain the same length. Next, have the first needle go through the second pinhole, then tighten the thread. Be careful not to catch the thread. Tighten the thread, and now we successfully start the sewing. Then keep sewing with the double needle sewing method. Don't skip any holes. Be careful not to catch the thread. After each stitch, tighten the thread while maintaining a consistent stitching direction. Make sure to pull the thread vertically to avoid damaging the leather material. When sewing the final stitch, use only one needle to sew individually. After sewing, secure the thread. Begin by sewing one additional stitch backward to reinforce. Then, pull the thread to the back. Leave a 3 mm thread tail, cut it, and use a lighter to burn the end to secure the thread. Slow down to avoid blackening the thread end or burning the leather. Take a look at the result after sewing. Take 2 handle materials and 2 rubber tube materials. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Place the rubber tube on the back of the handle material, ensuring that the holes indicated in the video align with each other. Start sewing from the first pinhole and use the double needle method to keep sewing to the left. It would be better to secure it with a clip before sewing. Ensure to align the pinholes before fixing. Make sure to pull the thread vertically to avoid damaging the leather material. After sewing up, start finishing the thread. Begin by sewing 1 additional stitch backward to reinforce. Then, thread both needles through the next pinhole, ensuring they pass through the gap between the 2 materials. Then, use the same method to secure the thread. Ensure that the rubber tube is shorter than the sewn holes. If it's too long, trim it accordingly. Use the same method to sew the other one. Take the front piece and make sure its front side is facing up. Take this small material. One side has a row of holes, while the other side has 2 rows of holes. One side with 2 rows of holes is facing downward. Align the first row of holes at the bottom with the first row of holes on the front piece. Measure the thread to be 2 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Start sewing from the first hole using the double needle method, then proceed to sew through all 4 holes. After finishing the sewing, secure the thread ends on the back side of the small material. Take a look at the result after sewing. Measure the thread to be 2 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Then take the square buckle hardware. Combine the two materials like this, ensuring to place the notch of the square buckle inside. Then thread the ends of the small material to the back like this. Next, sew these 4 holes. Ensure that all 3 layers of material are sewn together. Start sewing from the first hole, then use the same method as before to complete the sewing. Finally, secure the thread ends on the backside of the front piece. Take a look at the result after sewing. Sew the remaining 3 using the same method. Then find the hexagon nails. Screw the screws from the inside out, place the hexagon nails on the outside, and then tighten the 4 screws. Make sure to tighten firmly to prevent loosening during use. Take the handle material and assemble it like this, aligning the holes. Make sure the front side of the handle is facing up. Measure the thread to be 3 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Start sewing from the first hole on the right side and proceed with regular sewing. After each stitch, tighten the thread while maintaining a consistent stitching direction. Be careful not to catch the thread. Don't skip any holes. Make sure to pull the thread vertically to avoid damaging the leather material. Pay attention to these points every time you sew. No more hints later. After finishing sewing this hole, stop. Take the top needle and sew back 1 hole. Then continue sewing forward, this time coming out from the hole on the other side of the handle material. Then sew through the remaining holes as usual and secure the thread ends on the back side. Take a look at the result after sewing. Sew the other side using the same method. The handle on the front piece is also sewn using the same method. Get the 2 side pieces, 2 small leather pieces, and 2 D-buckle hardware. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Ensure that the side pieces are facing upward. Then take the small material and the D-buckle, and assemble them together like this. Ensure that the interior of the small material is attached together, with the half-circle side of the hardware exposed on the outside. Align them according to the holes onto the side piece, ensuring that the semicircle of the D-buckle hardware is facing upward. Start sewing from the first hole using the double needle method, then sew around the entire loop as usual. Finally, secure the thread ends on the back side. Take a look at the result after sewing. Use the same method to sew the other one. Take a look at the result after sewing. Take the bag lid material. Start sewing from the first hole of the second row, then sew downwards until reaching the last hole of the second row. Here, only sew this material. The stitches made belong to the decorative stitches. This is for decorative purposes, enhancing the overall appearance of the finished bag. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Start sewing from the first hole of the second row, then sew downwards until reaching the last hole of the second row. Take this long strip of material, measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Ensure it is facing upwards. Start sewing from the rightmost hole of the second row, then sew downwards as usual. After sewing, stop when you reach the 12th hole from the bottom. Now that you've finished sewing up to the 12th hole from the bottom, then take the bottom needle and thread it from top to bottom through the first hole of the bag lid. Then combine the 2 materials and start sewing them together. After sewing the decorative stitches on the bag lid, take the bottom needle and sew back 1 stitch for reinforcement. When threading from top to bottom, pass through the gap between the 2 materials. Then sew forward individually. Then sew forward individually. Take a look at the result after sewing. Use the same method to sew the other one. Locate the marker holes on both materials. These marker holes are much larger than the others. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Take the back piece and ensure its front side is facing up. With the front side of the bag lid material facing up, place the bag lid on top of the back piece, aligning the holes. Begin sewing. Let the first needle go from the bottom through the first hole of the back piece. Then let this needle pass from the bottom through the corresponding hole in the bag lid material, and then sew normally towards the left until reaching the marker hole. When reaching the marker hole, sew along with the long strip material, then continue sewing around the entire loop as usual. Finally, secure the thread ends on the back side. Take a look at the result after sewing. Measure the thread to be 4.5 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Both materials are facing upward, with the bottom material placed on top of the back piece, aligning the holes. Start sewing from the first hole in order, and then sew through all the holes in this row. Finally, secure the thread ends on the back side. Take a look at the result after sewing. Sew the other side using the same method. Take a look at the result after sewing. First, get the lock hardware, then unscrew the screws like this. The screws are very small, so be careful not to lose them. Then insert them into the 2 large holes like this. Turn to the back side, place the spacer, tighten the screws. Be careful not to misalign the screws, so please ensure they are aligned before tightening. Then, take the bottom studs and a screwdriver. Insert the screws from the inside out, place the bottom studs on the outside, and then tighten the 4 screws. Make sure to tighten firmly to prevent loosening during use. Then install the rubber sleeve. Check the result after installation. Then start sewing the side piece, sewing from this hole to that hole. Measure the thread to be 4 times and a half the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Start sewing from the front piece. Take the side piece, ensuring both materials are facing upward. The front piece is on top of the side piece. Use the needle to pass through the first hole of both materials in sequence. Pull both threads to ensure they remain the same length. Then, take one of the needles and loop the thread around it once like this. Then take another needle and loop the thread around it once as well. Then sew forward as usual. Before sewing, note that the direction of the zipper head can be changed according to personal preference. Here, I prefer to pull from left to right. Sew up to the marked hole and check if it corresponds correctly. If it does, proceed to sew as usual. If they don't align correctly, you'll need to contact customer service for a thread connection tutorial. Dismantle and re-stitch. The thread are enough, don't worry about it. When sewing around the corner, it can be easier to sew one material at a time. Make sure not to miss any holes. This hole should also be sewn through normally. After finishing the sewing, loop the thread around using the same method, then secure the thread inside. Take a look at the result after sewing. Use the same method to sew the other one. Then start sewing around the entire circumference of the bag opening. Measure the thread to be 4 times the length of the sewn part, then thread the needles. Start sewing from any hole on the side, then sew to the right as usual. When you reach the gap, loop the thread around once as if sewing. Check the effect here. Sew forward as usual and stop before reaching the marker hole. Now you have sewn up to the marker hole. Next, take the inner pocket material and compare the hole positions. The first hole on each side of the inner pocket should correspond to the two marker holes. The opening of the inner pocket faces the back piece of the bag, aligning the marker holes with the first holes of the inner pocket. Once aligned, begin sewing as usual. It would be better to secure it with a clip before sewing. Ensure to align the holes before fixing. Sew around the entire circle as usual, then secure the thread inside at the end. Take a look at the result after sewing. Then take the inner pocket material with the zipper. Note that the direction of the zipper head can be changed according to personal preference. There are 6 holes on the side. Align the inner pocket with the 6 holes as well, ensuring that the inner pocket material sandwiches the side material in between. Measure 3 times the height of the side, then thread the needle as usual. After assembling, start sewing from the first hole in sequence, first passing through the first layer of inner pocket material. Then pass through the 2 holes in the side material. Make sure to pass through the first hole of the 2 rows of holes. This hole has already been sewn through once, so sew through it again here, making sure not to pass through the wrong hole. Thread the needle in sequence. Then, take one of the needles and loop the thread around it once like this. This area may be a bit tricky to sew. Be careful not to poke yourself or the leather material. Take your time and enjoy the sewing process. Sew forward as usual until complete, then secure the thread ends on either side. Take a look at the result after sewing. Use the same method to sew the other one. Then take the hardware and assemble it with a long strip material like this, and tighten the screws. Check the result after installation. Then cover the bag lid. Next, tidy up the shape of the bag. The bag is finished. Appreciate your choice of Babylon leather. Thank you for choosing us. Wishing you the acquisition of valuable skills during your time here. If you've enjoyed our video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. For more information about this DIY leather kit, check out the link in the bio. Thanks for watching.